Hey, you are Randy, and I am Nathan, and this is
Dryfish.
Alright, I'm back. Again.
Wait. Matt, I hear Matt, but Matt isn't in the chat.
I'm right here.
Sound like
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you're actually here. Oh, I thought, because I'm watching the live stream, like, wait, I hear Matt, but he's not here.
Oh, you're watching.
Hey, Matt.
Okay. Yes.
Go
on.
So about
Okay,
the sound. Up until now, it was just recording my sound and not you or Nathan.
And
oh
now
my
it is
God.
I'm sorry.
Nah, that's okay. It happens. I've been there.
So
That's hilarious. It's gonna be a lot of Randy being quiet and then Randy chiming in with a random arbitrary response.
I'm gonna not include that in the edited video. So what?
So we're gonna have to do.
What part do you want to talk about again?
Well, let's.
Hey, guys,
I guess we'll talk about the project because that's.
Okay.
Might as well talk about the project.
Nathan, do you want to lead it this time, Nathan?
What?
Do you want to ask questions? Because
Sure.
then it's not exactly the same, at least.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Mr. Marioni, as you are well known in the community,
Yes.
and as Randy leaves, for he cannot bear witness to the horrors of which he has promoted us. But Mr. Marioni, please tell us about.
Oh, am I bugging out? Oh, nope. We're still good? Okay. Alright, so... okay, my project. So, essentially, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to... Like, you remember, you saw the short film, Deer in Headlights. I premiered it in 2014. I shot it in 2013. And 3 years later after I shot it, I want to go back and I want to redo the whole concept from scratch, essentially. So
Has it actually been 3 years since that happened?
Almost 3. Well, not exactly 3, almost 3. In August, it will be 3 years since we shot it. So, essentially, what is... sorry, I gotta gather my thoughts again. So, yeah, I just want to redo it all, right from scratch, because what the short lacked in was characters, histories, backgrounds, and just an overall,
Dynamics.
Just better stakes and better
stakes to kill vampires with.
Yes, of course. Just make sure to edit this shit out, Randy. Yeah. So, yeah, the short was lacking in just good, high production value, good character histories, and just a solid story. It was missing a lot of things. When it was premiered, there was the main criticism was that there wasn't enough. They wanted to know more about certain characters. They wanted to see more of the story, but they didn't get that information. They didn't get to see that. So I thought that so like a couple years later, I wanted to redo it. It was always in the back of my head to go and redo this concept right from scratch. But I never got around to it until like recently in like November, December. I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually start working on getting the story, making the story solid. And by the end of January of this year, I finished the pilot script, the final draft of the pilot script for the new series of Deer in Headlights, the idea of the series of Deer in Headlights. One of the main like confusions that I'm getting from it is the fact that people think I want to redo the short like shot to shot like story, like redo the 22-page script from the 2013 final draft script. That's not the case at all. I'm in love with the concept and characters, but I wanted to expand on the story. I wanted to expand on the characters. I wanted to essentially just make everything just better, more well-rounded. And just to clarify, it is not a recreation of the original short. The original short is a prototype of ideas, but they're just not strung together in the way I wanted it to be at the end of the day. It's not necessarily a bad short. It's not a throwaway short. It's a start of something. It's an inspirational start. So, yeah. So essentially, it's just a redo of it all. New cast, everything. And I have to say, if I can get the money to shoot the pilot, it will be a very fun pilot to make. It's very eventful. It's a very eventful script. I have to say, yeah.
And one of the characters, one of the actors as well, or are you just directing it?
I'm not acting. No, that's the other thing too. Actually, it's good you brought that up. I don't really like my acting. And I know some of the. Oh my god! Thank you. So yeah, I don't really like my acting too much. So it's not like. And I just felt that I wanted to be focused more on behind the camera.
That'll be better.
Because if you're directing and acting, it's a lot harder because you're focusing on your character and you're also focusing on trying to get the set together and blah 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 blah.
You can see that in the blooper reels of the original where you're laying on the ground and you're like, okay, action, and then you start acting. It's like, well, probably be better if someone else was directing that part, right?
Oh yeah, oh exactly. You know what I mean? So, it's just like, and again, I'm not an actor-minded person. I mean, I'll act like again, if somebody says, Matthew, this is a part that I want you to play, if it's like, it's a story like I like or something, or it's a good friend of mine, like of course I'll be a character, but like I'm not driven to become a successful working actor. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but it's not something that I'm motivated to try and get to. So, I want to be more focused on the behind the camera sort of aspect of it all. So that's kind of why. Yeah, that's also why I didn't want to be an extern anymore. I want someone else to play me that could do a better job, or play the Matt character. It's an extension of myself when I wrote the character, obviously, but it's definitely not me. 100%. But yeah, so essentially, we're looking for $6,000 by April 9th, and that will help fund the pilot. Very cheap. Obviously, that's a very cheap price to shoot a pilot with, but we're going to do 8 days, 3 of which are going to be in Vernon, and then the rest are going to be shot locally in Vancouver for the interiors. We figured it was more price efficient, so we would just find location.
Why are you coming to Vernon then?
Sorry?
Why are you coming to Vernon?
Because of the setting. We want to transition into Vernon more. Like, we want to shoot more exteriors in Vernon and stuff like that. But just interior wise, we might as well just shoot locally, right? So being that the setting is Vernon, I want to try to incorporate as much Vernon as possible, but because our budget is small, we have to make sacrifices. So if we get a bigger budget, if we can end up getting a bigger budget, we can do more in Vernon for longer. Because I definitely want to incorporate Vernon more in the future, assuming that we get the demand to make this series. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. But we're based out of Vancouver, essentially. We're based out of Vancouver, but we want to make a series that is set in Vernon. Also, yeah, that's the other thing too, is that I find unique is the fact that I don't think I've heard of any productions that have set their films or TV series in Vernon.
No.
Like as as the town.
Is that because there's nothing here besides nothing?
Yeah, yeah. So like, why not make a fictionalized? So why not make a fictionalized setting in Vernon and be like, this is it's about like this cult group that lives in Vernon, right? But they're like self-destructive because they're kind of falling apart, and like, and then the characters Matt and Jeff, when they enter Vernon to rob another gas station, essentially they run over a guy that looks just like Jeff, and they're like, oh shit, right? So Matt says, we got to bury the body because he's superstitious, and he believes that ghosts of the body will haunt whoever like ran him over, unless they're buried and put to rest, right? And because they stole because they stole money from other gas stations, because they're trying to rake up enough money to pay off this outstanding debt that's over their heads. They have this stolen money from other gas stations that they've been traveling around BC with. And so now they've run over this guy and they killed him. So they're like, okay, we got to bury the body. We'll get some shovels, we'll bury the body, then we'll hightail it out of this town. But as soon as they get into the town, the car gets hijacked and they end up accidentally getting entangled with this like cult group. And then the series is based around them trying to get their car back, get their money back, and leave. But all the while, they're mixed into this cult group that's falling apart, like this empire that's crumbling, and that the cult leader Meal Deal is trying to resurrect again and bring back into fruition. So, yeah, it's essentially just it's very eventful. There's just so much stuff that happens. It's one of my favorite types of stories is snowballing types of films, where it's just something happens and it snowballs into something else and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Those are my favorite types of stories. I was inspired by Fargo and No Country for Old Men with this one, and also Breaking Bad as a inspiration too on the aspect of it, and also Paul Thomas Anderson in terms of character design and stuff like that. So yeah, just a bunch of inspirations from different people. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really. There's obviously I'm not good at explaining stuff in real life that well, so the information is portrayed way better on the page. And actually, last night, my producer, Ryan, was telling me, he's like, hey, can I edit on the Indiegogo page? And I was like, sure, why? And he goes, because I just want to fix some grammatical issues on the page. I was like, oh, shit, yeah, no worries. I'll add you to that right away. So Ryan is on, is tuning up the page. Just because sometimes I don't write it well. And the other thing too is when I was writing the pilot, Ryan he went through every line of dialogue with me and was like, you should say it like this, because most of my dialogue in that was like not very natural sounding. It was just kind of like the dialogue just portrayed an idea of what I wanted that character to say, and then Ryan would be like, okay, well, you should make it shorter. He should just say this. He doesn't need to say that, or blah, 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 blah. And we went through every bit of dialogue in that 40-page span. And we finally came up with something that sounded natural, where the character sounded, natural, and it made sense, and there wasn't too much words, and, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Ryan is my go-to person for helping things sound better in general. So yeah. There you go. That's it.
Well, I have a couple questions. What's your location going to be for the B&B?
It was originally going to be James Kalizak's house, but he dropped out of the production because it wasn't something
his house in Vernon or his house in Vancouver?
His parents' house. That's better. That was originally going to be Meal Deal's house, but James was saying that they renovated it recently and it just wouldn't fit. And then the other thing too is James now dropped out of the production, so James. Now let me just clarify that it is totally okay to drop out of a production of mine. if you don't like the role. Because to be perfectly honest, if you don't like the role anymore, you're not going to act it well. If you really like the role, then you'll be devoted to acting as well as possible. Like let's think about when I was shooting the short film. Tyson had an interest in acting, and wanted to study it. And then when I gave him this role, like you can tell, even if you look at the acting and you go, oh, he could have done this better, or he could have done this better, you could still look at Tyson do this role and see that he was really into it. Like he really liked the role and was really devoted to it. And so it shows. He acted it better as a result, Again, there were things he could improve for sure, but in general, he did like a solid job. So James just, and you got to think of it this way too. We shot it in August 2013, right? And then afterwards, I didn't hear much from James. He acted in my 2015 short, Endless, which I'm releasing soon with behind the scenes footage and stuff like that. I already released it on Vimeo, but on the NFG page, I'll be releasing it soon. So he acted in that, right? And he was really into that role. But it was just when I, over time, he just didn't find the Jeff role to be, interesting anymore to him. And he wanted to focus more on other things. He wanted to just focus on sketch comedy and working on his solo music and stuff like that, which is totally cool. So we just recasted him with someone else that was interested in just being a part of the production and being part of it in some sort of way, shape, or form. And when we auditioned people to play Jeff as a backup. So just in case James dropped out, because I had a feeling James was not going to be into it anymore, and so we had some people just try it for Jeff if they were interested, just as a backup thing. So anyway, I forget, that was a big tangent. I forget what we were trying to.
I just asked where the B&B was going to be.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm excited for the Flower Girl scene. Please. I wasn't going to spoil it, but yeah.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, it's just, I'm used to talking to people who...
I'll cut the part where you said that.
Yeah, this is the thing. Okay. I'm used to talking to people who already know it, so it's just like, it's hard to... Yes. We're planning on... Becker?
No.
That area?
Oh, that's not a person. Yeah, I know the Becker area.
Oh, yeah. No, not a person. The Becker area, we were planning on doing close-up
bleep,
essentially, in the
bleep.
But anyway, the Meal Deals house we're currently figuring out because there's a couple of options. We might go to a Maple. I might contact some friends who live in Maple Ridge or Pitt Meadows, and we'll because we figure it might be easier to do the Meal Deal stuff. Interiors there and some exteriors there, so we're currently figuring that out. I wanted to do Frank's house as my parents' house.
I kind of figured,
yeah. It was kind of envisioned that way, being that he wants to kind of flip his house and sell it and live in a car for the rest of his life with $700,000 sort of guy. So that was Frank's house. Although it might change, it really depends on what we see fits and what's also economical in terms of our budget. And again, this all will get figured out once we know we have the money. If we don't have the money, then there's then we'll just we will hold off on all that planning. So essentially after April 9th. And basically, after April 9th, we'll figure out if we have the money. And also, and literally 2 days afterwards, I go to Cuba for 7 days on vacation. And then I come back, and if we have the money, then it's full force.
Are you inviting me to Cuba?
I was asking all my friends to come, and everyone's like, I don't have the money. So I was like, okay, no problem.
Let me get this straight, just so we are clear.
Uh-huh.
After your Indiegogo campaign's over, you're going to Cuba
for a week. Yeah, this was planned.
So as soon as the money's in your account, you're just going to.
You're blowing the lid off this whole operation. I paid. It's a trip I paid for in November. I wanted to do something, but it kind of just is planned that way because I was like, oh shit, I guess I might as well just end the campaign as soon as I go to Cuba and then just come back and then take the money out because it would be in my PayPal account anyway. So, I won't have access to PayPal in Cuba. So, just to let everyone know
that he is really good at finding.
I will not have access to PayPal in Cuba. What?
Hey, Randy.
Yep.
Just wondering, when you're recording us, you have it set so that every time someone talks, they get big, right?
Yeah.
That's normal, though.
When you talk, do you get big?
No.
So, should like two of us
if I'm
be
going to
editing?
talk for a while, I just click on myself so I get big.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
I don't need to be big all the time.
Yeah.
What do you think about YouTube Red, Matt?
You know what? It's fine. It's totally fine. As long as because now people were freaking out because oh, we can't get it in Canada. But no, you can't. But you can purchase the YouTube Red exclusive episodes in Canada. So if you for some reason, what?
Red.
Oh,
what is
it's
YouTube?
It's a monthly service. It's YouTube's Netflix edition, except it's YouTube making original content and selling it as as original content. So it's like if you purchase YouTube Red for $10 a month in the States, you get ad-free content. So that's without ads. So they're trying to promote not using ad block sort of deal. So you get all the you can watch any YouTube stuff without ads. But also you get access to YouTube original content, stuff that is only available to YouTube Red subscribers. That's how the idea
What is
goes.
YouTube original content?
So far they only have a couple stuff out right now, but they're working on developing new stuff. The big thing that everyone's talking about right now on YouTube Red is a PewDiePie series called Scare PewDiePie. And it's just a reality show thing where PewDiePie goes and he goes and gets into these situations where the production builds these sets and everything and gets him to walk through these haunted houses that they build with big budgets and stuff like that, and he has to try and get through the whole thing without shitting his pants too much or something like that. I didn't really watch too much of it. I watched the free episode. He put one episode up for free just so that people could get a sense of what the show is like. But I watched a bit of it and it wasn't really my thing. But it's fair enough. I can see here's a good perspective on it. If YouTube wants to create original content, they not only want to create original content, they want to create high production value original content. We're not just talking about another vlogging video series or something that's exclusive to members only. If we're talking about budgets that exceed 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, or even up to 30 million to make these shows. And so YouTube, in an effort to try and make that money back, because they obviously, when they're making these shows, they borrowed the money, as many productions do. They will loan money to make films.
I don't think they just used money. It's Google. They got money. I don't think they had to borrow
but
it.
YouTube has never profited.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't make money, but
Google,
Alphabet or whatever.
Okay, but still, even if you're even if you're worth millions and billions of dollars, you will loan the money and try and make it back first. So I'm assuming they loaned the money and are just trying to make it back with YouTube Red. But if not, they obviously will pay into it, right? So that's the thing. They're just making more big budget stuff, and they're making it for YouTube Red subscribers, or just people that want to purchase them and can't. Again, if you're not in the States, you can purchase them. You can purchase these episodes and stuff separately. And they're $2.99 an episode or something, something like that. But that's that's my perspective. I don't think it's necessarily too bad, because honestly, someone's if a content creator is going, okay, these producers are putting in $3 million per episode to do this series that I'm part of, but you have to pay money to see it. But that shit is extra. Like, he still does the same thing on YouTube. Like, he doesn't stop doing content. He still does the same stuff for free that you can watch. So to be perfectly honest with you, like, I don't see why people are complaining, because they're still getting the same content. It's just you're getting access to bonus content if you you're getting access to bonus content if you pay for it, you know?
Right.
Like, it's pretty cut and dry, you know. Nothing. I don't think it's nothing bad. I mean, at first when I heard about it, I thought it was kind of dumb, but then I kind of read into perspectives about it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm still getting the same content. You know, if I want bonus content, I'll pay for it. Like, it's, you know, it's like a DLC sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, it's all about budgets. Like, they're paying a lot of money to make this high production value quality YouTube original stuff, right? So if you want to get stuff that's more high budget, then you should check out YouTube Red, but only if also the creator that's doing getting these deals are someone you like. Like, again, if you don't like PewDiePie, it's not worth it, right? Even if it's a good high production value show, or Superwoman, she has one as well that's coming out on YouTube Red, or like Laser Team is on YouTube Red from Rooster Teeth, stuff like that. All high production value stuff, you know. Yeah. So I don't think it's.
I think the most interesting part for me of YouTube Red is that your $10 after YouTube takes their cut gets split based on how much minutes of video you watch per video. So
there's a bit of a controversy with like the payment plans on that.
Yeah.
Some YouTubers have spoken out about the paying methods. You know, and I can understand, like, the thing that I don't like about YouTube in general is their paying methods, and then they're obviously their copyright abuse.
It's been ridiculous lately, especially because
I've been following up on so many things on that.
Because you get a claim, and then you don't get monetized until you prove that it's yours, and then, but the money that you would have made during that time is
given
gone
to the person who claimed it. Yeah.
No, nobody gets it. It all goes to YouTube.
The person who claimed it takes the money. The revenue goes to him.
I think that depends on how it was flagged. There's two ways of flagging it, right? There's like you could say that it's yours, or you can say that it's using your stuff.
Okay.
Right. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm not too sure how it works, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's another
They gotta work on
tangent.
that. I think YouTube just doesn't care, because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't change the amount of money they get.
No, and it's just the YouTube is so big that, like, I get it. Like, the people who probably work at YouTube are probably pretty genuine people, but like, the problem is YouTube is so huge is that monitoring so much content at one time is tough without like a social outcry. Like,
well, that whole Fine Bros thing, did you hear about that?
Oh, of course I did. I was following. After that incident, I went back to their channel every single day to look at how many subscribers they lost. Like, I did that for like a week, and they kept losing. And I'm just like, holy shit! Like, this stuff just.
I unsubscribed right away. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Even after they undid it all, it's just like, that's ridiculous.
Well, it's a bridge burn, right?
And they just outright lied a bunch. Like, in their apology video or whatever, they said that they weren't taking down videos, but YouTubers were coming out and saying, yeah, they just took down my video because they had enough subscribers. YouTube just let them take down any video that they wanted, so they were taking down any video that had reactions in it. Even though, obviously they were not the first people to react to videos.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just, that's what USA copyright is, a corrupt thing in general. Because, like, you can just, in Canada, if you need to copyright something, you can't copyright, like, words like that. Canada's copyright system is, like, a little different. I mean, I'm not saying it's the best copyright system, but we don't have that here. We have a much more stricter system in terms of, like, what can you copyright, what kind of works you can copyright and stuff like that. In the USA, I could just copyright a word, and then I can just pay the money and then get it. Like, for example, one of the Kardashians wanted to copyright her first name.
What?
And then another celebrity who shared her name, pretty sure it's another celebrity who wasn't related to her but shared her first name, was like, what the like, what do I get? Then I can't use my name on my albums, because they both were doing solo albums, but the Kardashian was getting into, because she's famous and shit, she's like, oh, I'm gonna get into music now, right? But the other person was already invested in music for like a couple of years, right? She was already like driven to be a musical artist,
right.
Not because she was a model or famous because of a family, it's sort of deal. So now she can't, if she gets it, then she can't go make an album and use her name on it, or use her first name on it. She can use her last name, but not her first name if she got the copyright. Like, that's so dumb.
She won't get it. But like that, well, imagine if some new artist came out and her name was Adele and she used that name, you'd get confused. You would probably think that was Adele at first.
Like I get that aspect of it. Like, so like the aspect of it all is like, Adele could copyright Adele, and I think I would be okay with that, because that's how she branded it. She didn't brand it as Adele last name. She branded her music as Adele, right? So if someone named Adele wanted to get into music, I could see them. There's a confusion if they named their, like, people said, no, you can't name it Adele. So if Adele could get, I would have no problem with Adele getting a copyright on that name, because that's the name of her musical thing.
Yeah, but if someone named Chloe,
that's not just her name. That's the name of the musical thing. You know.
Yeah.
But you don't see Phil Collins doing Phil.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's too common of a name too, I think.
No,
yeah.
He wouldn't have gotten it anyway. But like, so like that makes sense to me. But you know, just sometimes it's just, it just kind of, it depends on who you are, right? But like, she just wants to copyright her name because she just wants to be the only one with that name.
You know the Storage Wars?
What?
You remember Storage Wars, that show?
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy who used to say yup.
I copyrighted yup, right?
Yeah, he copyrighted yup, and then a rap artist used the word yup, and he sued the rap artist. Like, that's not even the same, like, industry. Nobody's gonna get that confused. Can you hear the fire
truck? Yeah, I can hear it, yeah. No, I heard about, I didn't hear about the dispute, but I heard about him, but I thought he was copywriting yup, like
yeah, it was like the number of U's. It was like yup with a bunch of U's, and
so the rapper used yup with a bunch of U's.
He used the same number of U's or something.
Oh my god! He was just one U short or away from like not getting in that dispute.
You know, and out of principle, I wouldn't even change the number of U's just to get out. I would be like, you know what? No. I want to use this many U's in my lyrics or my album name, whatever it was, and I'm not changing it because some storage auction guy likes the number of U's in his yup.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. When I heard about that, I'm like, of course he did, because that's fucking...
But then when you copyright the word react, I'm like, that's crazy.
That is crazy, because everybody uses React. They even got mad at BuzzFeed one time for saying these people react
to that. At Ellen.
Saying that, they stole our format. I'm like, and Ellen got mad at Ellen and Jimmy Kimmel.
And like, I'm pretty sure they're helping you, because if people look up React videos, they're going to find you after seeing Ellen. Way more people watch Ellen than the Fine Bros.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ellen, I doubt Ellen was like, Fine Bros are doing it, why don't we do it? She probably was just like...
well, it might have been one of her writers or producers might have seen, but probably not.
But like, and also, but there's so much React stuff out there, away from Fine Bros too. Like, just having people reacting to, like, it could be a good inspiration, sure, because their format is high production value, so that you'll often see it, and they have a lot of subscribers, so you'll often see it lying around on YouTube. But Was it something that Ellen's like, let's rip off completely? No, she could tell that there's a lot of videos that are doing it. So, like, not just those guys, but everybody had like sort of React bases, you know. And BuzzFeed
came out, people were reacting to it before Vine Bros.
And BuzzFeed has always been about stuff like that, reactionary sort of deals. Like, even before the BuzzFeed YouTube channels, BuzzFeed, the website, was very reactionary. Like, it was just like the top 10 things that blah 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 did blah blah blah, and then they'll show GIFs of people reacting to stuff. You know, like it's always been the same thing, you know. So I mean, I think they're just very hungry for more money. Because it's just like, hey, we're already making this much money, but like, imagine all the money we could be making with this copyright thing.
It was a money grab, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, they're just asking people, here, join our program, license our stuff, and then we will monetize, and we will take 100% of that, all the monetization from your React license. And then it's like, okay, why do I want to do that?
It wasn't 100%. It was definitely less, wasn't it?
I feel like it was 100%.
I don't think it was 100%.
But it probably wasn't. It probably was like 60-40 or something like that.
But
it was probably
they
like
weren't
they were
even providing
more.
anything. They were just like, you can use our logos. It's like, oh, great. But we have to buy our own computers and cameras and hire our own staff. So why don't I just do that myself? I can make my own logo. I don't need the React name.
Yeah, here, use your... Yeah, it was silly... It was very silly of them to do that. And, you know, they burned the bridge. Like, people now people are now subscribed to them to dislike their React videos when they come out now. Like,
that might even be still good for them to have those extra subscribers. I think unsubscribing.
Well, they're still making the money with the haters regardless, so it's like, oh, well, you know.
They only lost 400,000 subscribers. I'm probably never gonna have 400,000 subscribers to anything, but that's how many they lost in less than a month.
Yeah, well, they were losing like up to 100,000 a day sometimes, so it was like nuts.
Yeah.
It was just insane. Like, I had seen... I haven't seen that stuff before, like, ever. So it was just like, you know, I've seen some like backlash on YouTubers and stuff like that, but none to this level. Yeah, this was historical YouTube, a historical moment in YouTube, like social justice. You know,
I haven't seen something like that since like Lonely Girl.
What's that?
Oh, you didn't? That was like early days of YouTube. There was this vlogger called Lonely Girl, but then it turned out that she was an actress hired by a studio, and that was like a high production thing. But it looked like she was just using her camera, but it was all
seriously.
Scripted. Yeah.
Whoa.
And that was a huge controversy at the beginning of YouTube, for sure. Like 2007, 2008, something like that.
I had no idea. I never knew about this.
Yeah, look it up for sure.
Winning.
I have one last question before we go.
Okay.
What is the most annoying thing you've sat on, and what's the face you made?
What? That's a good question. Huh. I don't. Wow, I've never actually thought about this, but I have to say oh, there's got to be a good one. This has to be most annoying thing I sat on, and what was it? Jesus. Like, I sat on a bed pole once accidentally, and like it right into my butt. Like, it was just like, ow!
And what was the face? Can you give us the face?
It was just like, I was like winded. I couldn't even like. It was like.
That's a good story. Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah, we lost Nathan. He had to go. He just kind of slipped out.
I figured he had to leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking pumped